Well, hello there, and welcome to the Wadcast Podcast. I'm your host, Eddie Ift. Today we have an amazing show. An amazing show. Our guest, Noah Ohlsen, is the second fittest man in the world. That's right. I give him some shit about that. Noah is an awesome person, a phenomenal CrossFitter, and just so much fun to talk to. And we have an awesome episode. We're doing some really cool new shit here. We're playing a thing called Paying It Forward on the show. I always like weird workouts. I want them to be weird, but I let Noah start it off. And of course, he just gave me an awful one. What we're going to do every week, we're going to present a workout here on the Wadcast Podcast. And what will happen is, like, Noah gave the first workout. Then you guys send in, you can send videos of you doing them. Anyone who gets a good time or something funny about it, I will then pick you to set next week's workout, or we'll let the guest set next week's workout. We'll call the workout after you. Okay, so this week the workout is the Ohlsen. We're doing the Ohlsen. Will I do it? Maybe. I don't have access to a bar right now, so I'm going to have a little trouble doing it, as a lot of people do. But if you can do it, do it. Noah Ohlsen gave this workout. It's a 12-minute AMRAP, 30 overhead squats at 145 for the men, 105 for the women, 50 chest-to-bar pull-ups, 30 power snatches at 145 for the men, 105 for the women, 50 handstand push-ups. And that is an AMRAP. Noah made it through one round and then into one power snatch in the second round. So it's one of those brutal ones, really heavy, really hard. So that is the Ohlsen, 12-minute AMRAP, 30 overhead squats, 145, 105, 50 chest to bar pull-ups, 30 power snatches, same weight, 145, 105, 50 handstand push-ups. Go at it. And what I'm looking for is, I want people to come up with like weird workouts, like, you know, like the beer mile kind of stuff, or the vortex, or, you know, doing something where you're like, you know, I carried someone on my shoulder for a quarter mile. Then I walked, bear crawled 50 yards. I know the guys, the really good, guys that do Murph, they just did over 4th of July. They did a burpee mile, which they were telling me some guys it takes 3 hours to do. Don't do that. That is not the workout we're looking for. People are going to die doing that. That sounds like the hardest thing in the world. But let's make them fun. Come up with one. We'll name it after you. Everybody will try to do it that week. And I think it's a fun thing to do. One of the other things we're doing, which is really cool here at the Wadcast, is we're adding to our website world record page. And this is the deal. The only world record we have verifiable so far is Hunter McIntyre's Murph. We have a video of it. We have judges watching him do it, certified that people can call bullshit on any of his reps. If the judges didn't do a good job, we can call bullshit. But right now, Hunter's got number one. We're going to put 1, 2, and 3 on the page. So if you have first, second, or third in the record, all you have to do is send us a wadcastpodcast@yahoo.com your video of you. If you think you've got it, if you think you have Helen, Annie, Eva, any of the benchmark workouts, and we're going to put all of the hero workouts also, we're going to start compiling them, and we will be the curator of this. And you want to send us your video, you doing the workout, we will then have verifiable proof that you then hold the record. I think all of the top games athletes will hit a lot of these. And we'd like to know who has the very fastest Fran in the world, who has the very fastest Helen, who has this. When it comes to top weights, like, top snatch, top bench, top any of those, I think we're going to stay away from those because there's a whole world of Olympic lifting. These are going to be traditional CrossFit workouts. So start submitting. If you think you have one, you will have it until someone beats it. Let's put it that way. Unless we can find someone else doing it, why not have the world record for a week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks? So send us your video with a judge. If you think you can do Diane faster than anyone, do it. do it. Get a judge. Go do it. Film it. Send it to us, and we will post it. And it's going to be very interesting because then people are going to want to attack these. I'm putting it out to all the top games athletes too, because they probably have a video of them doing it somewhere. So this should be fun, and it needs to be compiled because there needs to be things to shoot for. I have a feeling Hunter's, no offense, Hunter, but I think his Murph record, now that he said it, will get attacked and beaten next year by at least 3 people. That's my prediction, 3 to 4 people. Will Hunter beat it? Who knows? He might even do it himself and beat it. But again, that's wadcastpodcast@yahoo.com. Any questions, anything, we'll start posting some of these on our Instagram page too. I'll put the Paint It Forward too. If you guys want to help out the show, like I said, we're in the middle of a pandemic. My job is a stand-up comedian. I am not working. I don't know when I'm going to be working ever again. If you want to help out the show and you enjoy this show, please donate to the show. Please. You donate, you can win a Myopucks or a Leopard Claw. Those are awesome. Myopucks is a electronic muscle stimulator. I use it all the time for any injuries I have to expedite the process. It basically speeds up, and there's scientific proof to it. What it does is it flushes all the bad blood out, brings new blood in. It does what icing's supposed to do, but icing doesn't do it. So don't ice your injuries. Myopucks them. And a Leopard Claw is a way to basically agitate an area, but you're agitating by breaking up all the bad shit in there and bringing blood there. Again, you got to get new blood there, bad blood out. Goes back to your lymphatic system. So the combination of these two things is unbelievable. The Leopard Claw and the Myopucks, they're available at myopucks.com or leopardclaw.com. This week's winner, who I'd like to thank, all he did was donate $5 a month. He likes the show, he likes to listen, and wants some free junk. David Van Ripper. What a name. David Van Ripper, you are the winner of a Myopucks and a Leopard Claw. Thank you for helping out the show. Appreciate it very much. Please, if you do donate, stay a Patreon too. What else is going on? Is there anything special that I need to mention to you guys? I don't know. I hope you're all well. Hope you had a great 4th of July. Hope you're excited about the new ownership of CrossFit and that things grow and get better as we move along. I think that's it. Okay. So that was fast. Let's look at that. I did that in 7-8 minutes. All right, everybody. So again, you got a couple things. Go out and try to break a world record. Check out. We'll have that site up very soon. Paint It Forward. Do the Paint It Forward workout. All right? Somebody try it. At least one person, I want you to tell me how horrible it was. All right? And let's just sit back and enjoy this episode with one of the greatest, one of the nicest, Noah Ohlsen. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Wadcast podcast. Right now, oh my God, I am so lucky right now. I cannot believe it. I'm so excited. We are talking to the almost fittest man in the world.
Wow, what a title.
No.
Nobody's ever called me that. I kind of like it, and I kind of don't.
It was a backhanded compliment. You know I love you.
I'll take it.
I've always loved you. You are, how about this? You are by far my... in my opinion, my favorite fittest man in the world.
Wow.
Okay, so
that is a title.
So that is saying that I like you better than Matt Frazier. How about that?
Thank you very much.
And I like Matt too, but I like you better. So
nice. Man.
So in the whole world of like what you've accomplished, you actually are higher in the world right now than him because you have me liking you more, and that's the most arrogant thing I've ever said. No, I've said much more arrogant.
It adds to my list because it's life is not all about just your accomplishments and achievements in the placement leaderboard regard. And so to be able to add that now that you prefer me is a big thing for me.
You know what? That. It's funny you say that because like you are, and it's Jesus Christ. It's the most amazing accomplishment in the world. You are the second fittest man in the world last year. But that goes to say, like, that truth is that's not what life's all about. However, being there where you're one away has to consume you.
Yeah. I think that I actually had a bit of a choice in how I processed that right when it ended. Mm-hmm. It was either let it consume me and always look at it with a sense of disappointment, or be really proud of the accomplishment, let it build my confidence, mm-hmm. and hopefully be able to go forward. And more than anything, I just want to be able to reflect on it in a positive way. I don't want that accomplishment to be tainted. And so I tried to choose that as a conscious decision right when it ended, to be happy. I love it. It kind of fit right in with my mantra, happy but hungry. I was happy to have accomplished what I did, but I was also hungry to be able to do more and do better next time.
I'm really glad to hear that, because I know how much mental anguish that can bring. Were you able to really, really do that right away, or did you have to work on that mentally? Like, was that something you had to go? Because I mean, it's like, I've read this with, like, silver medalists a lot, and it's like you're the best, basically, like, you're the best in the world, but there's this one notch, and it's a difficult thing. And so like, you right now you're saying it, and I'm like, wow, what a great fucking attitude. But did you have to work to get that?
Yeah, certainly. I think there will always be small moments here or there when I think back to the what ifs, and like, if on this event I had done this and it was only this many points, mm-hmm. and I've played out those scenarios, I think it would be almost impossible not to let your mind go there at all. Mm-hmm. So they've been there, but I feel like for me, once I kind of think it through, I'm able to just, like, close the book, and put it back on the shelf and not leave it open to look at every single time I walk by.
Right. And I think, like, that takes a big man to do, and also a great athlete, because in order to be as good as you are, or to eventually be the best in the world, that's the attitude you have to have. If it was one of these, woulda, shoulda, coulda, all the time. Yeah, I'm impressed with that. I'm really impressed.
Well, I agree with you. Thank you, first of all, and I agree to a certain extent. I think there's a fine line between complacency and contentment. Mm-hmm. And also that the other side of things that we're talking about, where you're satisfied, because if I was too satisfied with just having made the podium and taken second, then I don't think that I would push forward and never be able to really accomplish that major goal and dream of mine of winning the CrossFit Games. And maybe I never do, but I know that I still desire that, and coming in second didn't satisfy that desire all the way for me, if that makes sense.
Sure. I kind of study this a little bit, because, raising kids and wanting them to achieve, but also not wanting them to go crazy. And mm-hmm. there's all different aspects to it. And how do people, only one person can be the best in the world. Only one person can be the second best in the world. Like what you've accomplished is so incredible, but it's like, how do you get to that next place? How do you do it? How do you keep the right attitude and mentality? And that takes a lot of mental work.
Yeah, definitely. How many kiddos you got, by the way? Is it 2 or 3?
Two. One's 1 year old, and it's brutal. Like the first
I imagine right now it's probably pretty
it's so
extra
hard. The first one was so easy because it was so fun. It's like, oh, this is all new. And the second one, we're like, we've done this. This is just hard.
Yeah. Over it. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like doing a workout the second time. Imagine doing an open workout the second time.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you try to shift your perspective there a little bit regarding the kiddos, in an open workout, you've got the opportunity to improve, right? To do better and PR. So maybe you can do the same with little man.
Yeah. And that's cool because he's a little boy. So the little girl, I had so much fun, like raising her and everything and trying to get her on the right track. And now it's him, but it's tougher because boys are so much different.
Yeah.
Anyone who tells me about that gender neutrality shit and about, we're equal and we're just raised, fuck off. You need to have children because
Have you experienced the hormonal effects of
the little
genetics there?
The little girl, they said, wait till she's like 13, 14, 15. But just little boys they want to break everything. They want to, every time you say no, that means yes. They want to, and I know people are going to go, my daughter's like that. No, I've been around so many little girls now because my daughter and so many little boys because of my son. Boys are evil.
Well, in that case, what can we do to make sure that we have girls when the time comes?
I know. It's like, I so wanted a boy, and now I'm like, oh my God, girls are so good.
I regret this. Yeah. No, that's funny. I'm sure I say this now. Obviously, we won't know until we get there, but I'm just excited for whatever kid comes out, once they get here. I'm sure that you feel the same way, even though your son is a handful. I'm sure you love them both differently, but the same amount. So, man, I'm envious of you.
How's your child now? That golden retriever.
Max is amazing. He actually had a vet appointment this morning, and he's in full health. 6 years old. The one thing that the vet did say that I didn't love, he used the word chunky. He said Max is a little chunky, and I was like, wow, man, as a gym dog, that really hits deep. So that's something that we got to work on, whether we cut back on his food. He exercises plenty.
What's he eat?
Max and I both are actually sponsored by Nulo, which is really cool. It's a dog food company, and their MO is sponsoring athletes who have pets.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's very cool. And they make great food. I don't know. I don't think that he's chunky at all. I'll show you guys on camera later. The guy just said that if you touch their sides and you don't immediately feel their ribs, that they can be slightly overweight. And there's no extra anything to Max. He just looks dense.
So he's like Khalifa.
Yeah, exactly. That's a good way to put it. That's a compliment. Max would take that as a compliment for sure.
No, I weirdly went down the wormhole with my dog with dog food. I have 2 dogs. And when I got into the paleo diet, probably 12 years ago or whatever, I started going, well, why don't dogs eat like this too? And I was at my vet one day. I finally got this really good vet. And I was talking to my vet. I said, what should my dog eat? And the vet goes, what do you eat? And I said, vegetables, meat, nuts, seeds, whatever, meat, chicken, fish. And the vet looked at me and goes, yeah, same thing.
Interesting.
And they were
did you switch over?
So
the raw food diet?
So then I Googled and went into what are the best diets. And there was this one diet, most of the American companies were shit because they were looking to make money. And there was this Canadian company called Origin that made high protein, dog food. And so I switched to it for both my dogs, and they both got diarrhea so fucking bad. And I know everybody goes, well, you have to move them over slowly. I moved them over slowly, and it was just too much protein for them. And there was there was a 90-10 and 80-20, protein to carbs. But I ended up with,
but was that a prepared, what's that called?
The raw foods kind
kibbles.
Of stuff. No, it was a kibble. It wasn't a wet. But what I ended up with was, I think it's Natural Balance or whatever, what I use, which is, my dogs both eat a white fish and sweet potato. And
nice.
And then they get table scraps a little bit, which made them awful.
They did. Big beggars.
Yeah, it's terrible. It's don't ever feed your dog from the tail. They just become
it's
assholes.
so hard though.
I know. You know who does it? The babies. My baby will eat one
They're
for
the
me,
ones that feed.
one for the dog, one awesome. For me, one for
such a good sharer.
Yeah. But so what are you doing now? Are you training all alone, or is anyone around?
I mean, we're digging into the Max topic, and Max has basically become my training partner. It's just he and I at home. I set up a little gym in the carport area of our house right out front. And it was an interesting transition, but it's been kind of cool. I feel like it has increased my confidence and adaptability in general, because at first I was not thinking that I was going to be able to dive all the way into training hard at home.
Mm-hmm.
And I was even talking to somebody about it yesterday, how when I would train at home, it was just like on my recovery day, I'd grab the one assault bike that we had here and like very slowly flush my legs out. And so for my mindset to be wrapped around like, this is what that environment is for, to going all out, lifting numbers close to my max, it took a little while to get comfortable there. It just felt wrong at first. But the other day, I almost PR'd my snatch right in the carport, and I've been heavy clean and jerks and back squats, and just everything that I was doing at the gym, I've gotten comfortable with doing at home now. So it's weird, man. It's not ideal, I don't think. I think I would probably be performing a little bit better and enjoying myself more if I was in the gym with training partners and having fun. But that being said, I don't hate what I've got set up here at home.
Is anyone coaching you?
Yeah, I've been coached for the last, what has it been? Probably almost about 4 years now by Max Elhaj, who runs Training Think Tank in Alpharetta, Georgia.
So does he get on FaceTime with you or something while you're training, or come down and see you, or what do you do?
It's not a lot of in-person stuff, to be honest. We'll communicate sometimes daily via text, sometimes weekly on a phone call, but he'll just send me my programming. I've gone up and done training camps up there many times. I'll stay at Max's house and work with him a little bit more closely there. But I would say I'm relatively independent as an athlete in that regard. Even at competitions in the warm-up area, I kind of do my own thing. I'll consult him very briefly, but I'm not super dependent on having a coach or somebody in person. So I don't want.
Sorry to interrupt. I don't want to sound like an idiot. And I know a lot of these guys. I've never heard of them. Is that my fault? Do a lot of guys use them, or?
Yeah, I think that he's become pretty well known in the community. He puts out a ton of educational content through Training Think Tank. They have Instagram, YouTube channels that they put a lot of content out on. He's coached me through my 3 past and best games performances. He coaches Travis Mayer.
Okay, Travis. Okay, that's how I know him. Okay, I do know him now. How did you find him?
Yeah. So that I worked with Dusty in the past,
right?
And I had an awesome relationship and career with Dusty as my coach. And there was just a certain point in time that I felt like, hey, I just need a new stimulus, something to, just something different. I felt like I had kind of plateaued, and I transitioned or I was searching for something new, and he had been recommended to me, Max Elhaj, by a few different people. I went up and stayed with him for a weekend just to talk about what the future could look like working with him, and just felt really, really good about it from a personal perspective and from his knowledge and coaching ability. So
I find that really, it's got to just be a really, really tough decision for, I can't compare it to anything, because when I was an athlete back in my day, I would always, it was just whoever your coach was. Or when I chose my university, I chose not so much for the coach, of just, it was the school that was going to give me, a scholarship or something. I wasn't too into my coach. And in fact, when I got to the school, I didn't like my coach, and I was just like, well, I'm fucked. And I didn't realize how good he was. I was an idiot. But like, as a comedian, we have to choose a manager. And a manager represents us and makes all our decisions. And it's a really, really tough decision, because you feel like, this is all me, and I do this and I perform, but this could be the difference between, making it and not making it. And it's got to be a really, really like keep you up at night kind of thing, like making that decision.
Yeah, it's a big one for sure. I think for the most part, though, I will say that I probably, not just me, but I think a lot of athletes that are physically competent could probably get themselves on almost any program. And if they are consistently like really digging in and working hard, I think they can be pretty successful.
Sure.
The fine details and the nuances of being able to train and take it like to the very next level, because to get into the top 10, to qualify for the games is a big deal. That's one tier. And then to go from just a games athlete to make it into the top 10, that's another big deal. And then to crack into the podium or to win the games, like that, just there are, like I said, the word nuance. There are so many little nuances to figuring out what it takes to get there. And so I feel like thus far, Max has done a really good job with me of paying attention to the things that I needed to improve on. And there were things that I didn't love to do. And sometimes allowing me to negotiate with him on that stuff, and sometimes just being really hard and holding me accountable, always leaving the ball in my court, but saying the right things to where I'm the one making the decision, even if it's the decision that I know is going to be painful and difficult regarding what I have to do in training.
Right. I mean, it is a little bit the same in our world too. And there are times when I'm like, well, I would have done this no matter what, with or without them. And isn't it weird having a dog with the same name as your coach?
Yes, it is actually. We joke about the coach being named after the dog, and what an honor that must be for him, even though he's like 25 years his senior.
But what I was saying was, like, because I have to spend so much time with my manager, like you do your coach, I just basically found one that could be my best friend.
Yeah, man, and that's interesting too that you say that, because Max and I have become incredibly good friends. And that's what happened with Dusty and I. Like, Dusty and I were and still are very good friends. And so we've maintained our friendship and relationship, even though he's not coaching me anymore. So I do think that that's important. However, I will add in there that Dusty and I almost became too good of friends, where there wasn't the accountability and coach.
Yep. I know what you're saying.
Word? It's not respect. Like, I respected him as a coach, but it just got to a certain point where I was like, no, I really want to do this. And he'd be like, okay, yeah, then do that. And
too easy to say no to him.
Yeah, I think so in both ways. But yeah, anyway, I think
you need a little bit of a disciplinarian, someone that can crack the whip a little bit. And
certain times I think so.
And you're not going to be able to do that with a friend. With a friend, you're going to be a little bit like able to say, if they can chide you on kind of thing, but not where, I mean, I was afraid of my college coach. I was terrified of the guy. And what he said to do, I would have run till I died because I was so scared of him. Like, if he said, one time he said, we're going to run 200-meter dashes on the baton, so the whole team's going to have them, and you're just going to keep handing off to the next person, and your rest time is while they're running. And if they hit the time, 1-to-1. They hit the time, and listen to this time. It was like 20, I think it was like 24.5 for the men and 26.5 for the women or something in a 200.
That's very fast.
I think, if I'm right, it might have been 26.5 for the men and 28.5 for the women. But it was like, as soon as you hit the time, you were done and you could leave practice. Mm-hmm. But if you didn't, you kept running. And so your rest time got shorter and shorter and shorter each time.
Wow.
And I would have gone till I died because I was so afraid of him.
Couldn't have.
So if that was a friend of mine, I would have been like, fuck off.
Yeah.
Like I'm puking blood.
Right. But it probably pushed you and made you better as an athlete. So I think at times it's appropriate, and you probably in the moment hated him. But like you just said at the beginning of this, you look back and you're like, he was a great coach.
Yeah. And there are a lot of great coaches out there in the CrossFit world. In the beginning, I thought everybody was just like making shit up. And I guess some of them were, but now it's amazing. And doesn't that also get to you? Because I know Hunter, for example, coach hops. And he tries to get something from everybody and talks to every coach in the world. Does that ever, like, do you ever sit there and go, what's Hinshaw doing today? Could I take a little of what he's doing?
I used to be very curious, and I used to look at a lot of the different blogs and pull workouts here and there. And I think that was like the novelty of CrossFit. There was so much new stuff happening. I've gotten over that a little bit, and I've just kind of fully put my trust in Max. And I think that's a good thing, because I think taking that wonder out of it for me allows me to be a little bit more diligent in my particular program and feel secure and confident in what I'm doing.
Yeah. Okay. Everybody wants to lose weight. Well, not everybody, but most people want to lose weight. Some people want to get bulky and whatever you're doing. If you want to lose weight, my wife was looking for a million different ways to lose weight after she had our baby. And it's really difficult for women after pregnancy. It's very difficult for guys like me that eat sugar all night long. And that's why my wife stumbled upon this thing called the RP Diet app from Renaissance Periodization. It's better than a food tracker. When that's not enough, you need something like the RP Diet app, which steps in to coach you through a diet. You're going to lose fat. You're going to build muscle. You're going to maintain, optimize your performance recovery. It can do all of that. The RP Diet app can help you towards any of your goals that you may have. See, here's what it does. The app builds you a customized diet based on your goals, your timeline, your lifestyle, your training, and your individual body type. This isn't one size fits all. This is built for you, custom built. And it constantly adapts via recommended weekly diet adjustments based on your progress and goals. Though you do have the power to speed up, slow down, stay on course with your diet. Okay, so it's like having your personalized nutrition coach who's going to be with you at all times. The metabolic learning adjusts your future diets based on your results from previous diets with powerful algorithms made by top industry sports science nutrition experts. Okay, so this thing is basically, it's doing all the work for you. It's a robot. You plug in some data and it is going to tell you what you have to do, when you have to do, how you have to do it. It coaches you. It helps you stay on course. It's got a food diary to keep track of your meals. It's got automated meal timing to optimize your progress and reduce your hunger. It's got meal reminders to help you maintain the diet, and a shopping list to simplify your weekly meal prep if you choose to do so. Okay. It's going to do it. If you don't lose weight on this, you should just punch yourself in the face. That's what I'm telling you. Download right now to start your free 14-day trial. It's available on Android and iOS. Okay? 14-day free trial. Just try it. Use code WODCAST to get your first 6 months free. Oh, no, not free. What am I saying? You're going to use WODCAST to get your first 6 months at $9.99 a month. It's usually $14.99. You're going to get it for $9.99 a month, 6 months free. Okay. You need to go to renaissanceperiodization.com. I believe it is. I'm going to make sure of that. Renaissance Periodization. How do you spell Renaissance? I don't know. Does anybody know how to spell Renaissance? That's a hard word to spell. RENAISSANCE. Okay. RENIASSANCE. Periodization. Okay. Go to renaissanceperiodization.com. Okay. And then get in there, get that, and use that code WODCAST. All right. Do it now. Thank me later. Use that code WODCAST. You're going to get 6 months at $9.99. Are you stinky? Are you? Well, you shouldn't be, because, oh my God, there is a product out there. If you need deodorant, which you all do, unless you're Ronnie Teasdale, the best deodorant I've found by far in the world is a company called Native. I believe reading labels is key. I do it with everything I do, from the food I eat to the stuff I put on my body, like my lotions, you name it, everything, my sunscreen, and my deodorant is from Native. Okay. Native is, first of all, like, you just look in there. There's nothing bad in there for your body at all. And it doesn't just block odor better. It's made better. It has ingredients. All the ingredients are very simple, like coconut oil, shea butter, tapioca starch. It's also vegan if you're one of those people. You know what I'm talking about. And here's the good part. I really am, this is important to me. They don't test it on animals. So Some people use antiperspirant, and aluminum is an antiperspirant, and it forms a plug in your sweat glands to keep you from sweating. That's how it works. Native never uses ingredients like aluminum, parabens, sulfates, or talc. Okay, if you switch to an aluminum-free deodorant, doesn't mean you have to sacrifice on odor protection. Native's going to keep you smelling and feeling fresh all day long, okay? And they got 10 different scents. They keep adding scents, and they rotate them seasonally like Starbucks does. They got something for everybody. Their most popular classic scents are coconut, vanilla, lavender and rose, cucumber and mint, citrus and herbal. I've used all of those. I would say, honestly, that my favorite, I know it sounds a little feminine of me, but I like the lavender and rose. You know why? Because we get a bunch of them. My wife uses the same one. She uses lavender and rose. I use it. She's the one who originally found this and started using it. And then I was like, what is this stuff? Because I think I'm an expert on all this stuff. And then I started using it. I was like, oh my God, where did you find this? How about the best part? It's risk-free to try. Every product comes with free shipping within the U.S. plus 30-day return on exchanges. So see why so many people love Native. Check out their 14,000 five-star reviews. And available now through 9/14. I don't even know what month that is. Is that? No, that's September 14th. Well, we may not be able to travel to many destinations we love this summer. We can bring the essence of the destinations we love to our shoppers. All right. That's what they said. I didn't say that. They're introducing 4 new seasonal scents to transport you to some of your most beloved road trip destinations. They got coastal oak and amber, sweet peach and nectar, cactus flower and poppy. I'm going to try that one. And apple and honeysuckle. Okay, so do what I did. Make the switch to Native today by going to Native Deo. That's DEO. NativeDeo.com/Wadcast. That's NativeDeo.com/Wadcast. Or use the promo code Wadcast at checkout. You're going to get 20% off your first order. Order a whole bunch of this stuff. It's so good. NativeDeo.com. They might even have one of those like subscription services too, where you can just keep getting the deodorant sent to you. But it's NativeDeo.com/Wadcast. Or use the promo code WADCAST at checkout. You're going to get 20% off your first order. How's that sound? Go do it, you stinky mother. I use a lot of analogies to my business of comedy to you guys. Mm-hmm. It's very easy to deliver a joke when someone else writes the joke for you. So if I have a writer, all I know is I just have to deliver this and perform this joke the funniest way possible.
Yeah.
But when I write the joke and I perform it, as I'm performing it, I'm thinking, did I write this well?
Sure.
Is this wording wrong? Is it funny enough? And there's so much second guessing that some of the times I envy guys like, and I'm not criticizing them, but I envy people like Chris Rock who will have writers write for them. And a lot of comedians decide not to have writers. Some comedians do. And I'm not saying, I'm just one of those ones that I enjoy the process of writing my own joke. Not saying I wouldn't take a bit from somebody or something, but that whole idea of like, all I have to do is this one. I just do what I'd like to be that robot.
Man, that's very much me as an athlete and even almost as a person. You know, I'll tell my fiance sometimes on like my rest day, hey, I'm committing my entire day to you. Just tell me what to do and I will get every single thing that you want me to get done. But if you don't tell me anything, I'm probably just going to hang out on the couch and like watch Netflix. You're gonna do so well in marriage. Good.
I'm telling you, that's all you have to do. You just go, what will make you happy? And
give me a list and I'll accomplish it.
It's all it becomes because who she is now is not who she is when she gets married.
Uh-oh. I mean, it's been 8 years that we've been together, so I can't imagine that she's going to change much, but we shall see.
It's going to change.
All right. Hopefully for the better, maybe.
No, especially when the kids come out. All of a sudden, you meet a new person.
That I can imagine being very different.
You're like, who are you? I've never met you before.
Yeah. Man, interesting times ahead.
Yeah, but it's something to look forward to. I wonder though, people like you, my wife and I were just talking about this. Look, there's a lot of silver linings in the pandemic, but there's also a lot of like fear and there's a lot of like not knowing. And my wife said the other day, and we're handling it well, but she said something about like, it'd be tough having children right now, like with that idea of like, what kind of world are we going to bring them into? Because there's a lot of unknowns right now.
Yeah, man, it's ironic that you say that, because literally the other day, Joanne and I were kind of talking about our relationship timeline, and we're likely going to get married in the next year-ish. And then shortly after that, a year or two later, we'd like to have kids. But considering what's going on in the world right now, Joanne said, if it doesn't get a whole lot better than it is now, just the world in general, I don't know that it would be an appropriate time to bring kids into the world. And that makes me sad, because I feel like I've always had the dream and the desire to have kids of my own. But I totally get what she's saying, and I could see how it would almost be selfish if it was an inappropriate time. However, a neighbor of ours, somehow we got into this conversation crossing a dog walk yesterday with a neighbor, and they said that she said she'll never forget, from an old Archie Bunker episode, somebody was relaying the same sentiment about not wanting to bring a kid into this cold, dark world. And the person responded to them by saying, yeah, but what if your kid is the one that changes it all?
It's a good point.
I thought that was really cool.
It's a good point. And it's, it's just, there's a couple little things. I worry right now that my kids are getting like we worry about their socialization, and we're making it the best for them, and they're having a great time. And if you ask them, like, yes, my daughter is 5. Oh my God, I'm having so much fun. But there'll be moments where I see her and I'm like, she has no friends around. She has, and she gets to occasionally like see friends. We go for walks and the friends will come out, and we have a very close, small circle. So it's like safe, but she doesn't go to school. And we're talking about school in the fall and what we're going to do, and distance learning and all this shit, that it's like, this is a weird fucking time. And,
sure is.
I'm older than you, and it's just like, we've had it easy for so long.
Yeah, and you don't know what you got till it's gone.
Yeah, and look, like I said, there's so much of this that I like, that I'm like, oh, I hope we never go back to how we were before this. Mm-hmm. But I mean, like, I spend more time with my family.
There are definitely elements.
Yeah, there's so much good, but I don't know. Enough about that. They put another. This is going to open up a whole can of worms. You were one of the first guys to go, hey, I'm not going to do the games. Am I right?
Correct. Mundo. Yep.
Now with the new CEO, did that change things for you?
Yeah, it sure did, man. And it's been really interesting too, in the, what would the word for it be? Just the dang, there's a word on the tip of my tongue that's perfect, but I can't think of it. Anyway, after the fact, it's been interesting to see a lot of the feedback from people. A lot of it positive, but it's impossible to not pay attention to some of the negative. And I've been seeing a lot of people just kind of not be supportive of going back on my word, or that's what their opinion and perspective is. They're like, you should have just stayed firm in your stance. And I think people didn't understand the whole point of it. Like, they didn't really read into what the quote unquote boycott of the games, the purpose of it was for both Chandler Smith and I, who's Chandler is one of the few, if not at this point, the only qualified Black CrossFit Games athlete. He and I were on the phone the day that we decided to boycott the games. And we said that we were doing it because we didn't feel comfortable with the way things stood at CrossFit, with the leadership and the actions that they had taken to support the community and the specific group within the community that was like basically crying out for help. And so he and I said, all right, well, then if we don't feel comfortable, let's essentially boycott the games and vocally make it contingent upon change being made, in the hopes that it's a catalyst for some positive change that's going to help all the people that are feeling underserved, underrepresented, whatever it may be. And so left it open-ended, right? We just said change. We didn't say specifically what we wanted the change to be. And since then, there have been many changes that have been made.
Sure. I think those people that are criticizing you don't understand leadership and don't understand that you guys led the way and you helped make change. And because change was made, you're able to be part of the community still. That's like it's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. I can understand people being split. I can understand people being split on Glassman and on the future of car. But for anyone coming back in that left for that reason, you got what you wanted. There's no reason not to come back. I mean, I can understand some people, and I'm not taking a position on this at all, but I understand some people still having problems with Castro. Like, I understand I don't have any problem. It's not mine to have. But what I'm saying is I can understand that, them saying, well, they still have this, or how much is Glassman divested, or I think that there is enough of a catalyst of change that this movement got what it wanted. I mean, they could go back and go, Glassman still owns it, and this guy has 1%, and we fucked you all. Yeah, and of course, and everybody's going to go, well, we fucking leave again. So
right, exactly.
So, but change was made, and that's how things happen. It was basically a revolution. It was a revolution within CrossFit, and I think that's how you get shit done.
For sure. I'm with you on that. And I'm not saying that we were the exact reason that things were changed. You know, I think perhaps we were some kindling on the fire that helped the changes happen. But my response to somebody that, and I decided to just direct message someone. There were a lot of comments that I was like, oh, my fingers went to the keyboard, and I was like, no, don't do it. And so I decided just one person in particular to send him a direct message. He said something about like lack of respect for going back on my decision and not being a man and whatever. And so I just said to him very simply, I was like, listen, it was not a decision that I made that I went back on. It was a request that I made that was acquiesced. You know, they made the changes that we requested. So
you don't have to explain yourself on that. And these people, a lot of times, anyone who that doesn't sound like a troll. That sounds like somebody who had a like a concern and explained it out to you. I mean, when you get the shitty troll ones, those ones I don't even listen to anymore. I always write to people that just troll, and I go, hey, I don't take criticisms online. You have to deliver them in person.
Nice. I like that. And
it's just like, no, we're not going to do this because
it really doesn't bother me anymore. It used to a lot, but now it's just like, I know what it is. Yeah, you can't play into it. It for like the first, like, I don't know. It started with me with MySpace, and then Facebook. It started getting evil, and then Instagram. YouTube. It got the most evil, especially with comedians. And it was like I had to really learn that I'd do a show, and 10 million people would see the show, and then it would go up on YouTube, and just like 1,000 people would watch it on YouTube, and 100 of them were telling me I was the most unfunny person that's ever lived. And I'm like, oh fuck. And it was like getting punched in the stomach over and over. And I was like, wait, the crowd was cheering, the crowd loved it. It went on to like, why do these people hate me so much? And it took me a long time to get over that. I don't understand the psychology of it, but one thing I was actually talking to Chandler about yesterday, this whole situation with the pandemic and Black Lives Matter, because even though they shouldn't be, in my opinion, but because they've been so polarizing, I think it has made me realize more than ever that you're not almost ever going to be able to please everybody.
You're never.
I would take time crafting a message or a caption that's like, all right, I'm going to take this out because it might offend this person, but I'm going to put this in because I want to please these people. But for this particular situation, I've had to just go with my heart and know that some people are going to love it and encourage me, and some people are going to hate on me, and that's fine because I believe what is right in my heart. And
it's a good thing. It's pushing us all to being more who we are as individuals rather than try. I mean, granted, there are things like, especially in my business, where some things, it's made us look at like what's hateful and what's hurtful and what can we change to, like the N-word, for example. A lot of comedians, myself included, had used the N-word in jokes. And because like I talked about how it's an offensive word. Yeah. And one time I was listening to Dean Edwards, who's a good friend of mine, a comedian, black comedian, on a podcast. And I think it was Mark Maron's podcast. And he said, when I hear a white comedian say that word, he goes, the comedian on my one shoulder is going, hey, that's really funny. He goes, but the black man on the other shoulder is going, punch that guy in the face. And Dean
so it's not even worth going.
Dean is the sweetest guy you've ever met in your entire life. He used to be on SNL. Yeah. And when I heard that, I went, oh, wow, if that hurts Dean Edwards, then I don't want to do that. Like, I don't want, even the fact that I'm showing how offensive the word is in the joke and the ignorance of the word, it still upsets him. And I was like, so there's been like, I'm all for free speech and I'm all for saying everything, but I do craft things differently now. And I think culturally, I was just watching a special that I did because we're reissuing it. And I was like, holy shit, I can't put half this shit out. Times have changed.
Because of the current climate.
Yeah, I was like, this just doesn't sound funny right now. I sound ignorant. Yeah. And I was like, wow. So people change. And but I don't know where I was getting on this. It was about you say, but no, it was like you getting to like when you're saying, I just got to be myself. You do need to be yourself. Rudy Giuliani said one time he could give $100 to every New Yorker. And he goes, half would say it wasn't enough, and the other half would say it's too much.
Yeah.
So you're never going to make them happy. It's just as long as you can look yourself in the mirror every day and know that you did your best and you are who you are. So fuck them. Like really, like no, you care about the people that support you and want you, but if they're going to be that way, fuck them. And also, usually, even if they are a troll, I always reach out to them sometimes just for fun. It's like a little game I'll play. And I'll be like, hey, man, what's your problem? I'm just trying to make people feel good. I just want to make them laugh. I try to create an entertaining product, and I don't understand why you're so upset about it. And they'll go, oh, man, I'm sorry. I was just giving you shit. Dude, I'm drunk right now, and I blah, blah, blah. And then they become like a big fan. And you're like, oh, see, this is why social media sucks. Because if we were in a bar, I'd end up buying you a beer. We'd talk. We'd find out we have shit in common, but on social media, you can't do that. So sometimes just reach out to them because they're in pain a little bit and they just want to pull your pigtails or your man bun that you're wearing right
Whatever
now.
That thing up there is.
I didn't know you had one. Somebody wrote a question. I didn't even know. When did this occur?
Man, I would say after the games this year, or maybe a little bit before. I don't remember specifically when, but a friend of mine, a gay gentleman who attends Peak, was like, he like ruffled my hair when it was what it was a year ago. And he's like, we got to do something new. And I was like, damn, all right. If he thinks this, then I got to figure something out. And so I just was a little bit more in tune with that. And I saw a picture of James Newberry, and James Newberry has these badass blonde dreadlocks.
Always the best hair.
Man, and I remember my mom as a kid encouraging me to, at some point in my life, try dreadlocks. She just thought it would be really cool. And I was always like, nah, but whatever. I saw a photo of James and I thought, you know what? I'm going to give that a whirl. And so I'm in the process of trying to grow my hair out long enough to see what dreadlocks would look like. I'm in the weird stage for sure. I don't even know what's going on with it right now, but I think eventually I'd love to have some dreadlocks. And it's what's been interesting about like the climate shift and current situation too. It wasn't a consideration really before, but now I'm almost hesitant because I don't want it to be offensive or like cultural appropriation in any way. So I don't know. I think at least I'm more aware of it. And I actually heard there's a guy, Emmanuel Acho, who has been posting these videos since George Floyd was killed about basically educating white people. It's called Uncomfortable Conversations with a Black Man. And they're really, really well done, in my opinion. And he said something about cultural appropriation And he said, as long as, what did he, I think he almost maybe referenced a comedian or just, I think in general, plagiarization. He said that forgery is a form of flattery as long as you cite your source. So like if you do a little bit of research and you know the meaning behind certain things, and then you are recreating it out of respect and a desire to wear it well, then it's all good. But if you're doing it in spite or to make fun of, or if your intentions are not good, then the impact can also be ungood.
That's pretty heady.
Yeah, indeed it is.
Yeah. And who knows, that might hold you back. That might keep you from getting that first place, swinging dreadlocks around. You never know.
Yeah. They're a little heavy, wind resistance.
I mean, I remember, swimmers shave their legs, shave their arms. Got that little.
Yeah, that's true.
Would there ever be that like, oh, I just got my hair in my eye? I always wonder that about James, because he's got this like giant thing on his head swinging around.
I guess I hadn't really considered that. I wonder if there are any potential positives to having dreadlocks. I don't know. Handstand push-up, like a little pad.
That's true. Mm-hmm. Yeah, could give you a couple more inches. You already only have to go an inch.
Hey, I got pretty normal sized arms.
You do actually, but when I watched you, what was the event? Was it Mary? Was it Mary that
yes.
you crushed?
Yeah, that was a good one.
I was like, how fucking fast are these handstand push-ups? And it was you. Was that you and Fraser going back and forth?
Yes.
Yeah. And it was just like both of you. What are you, 5? You're 5'7"?
Yeah, I think we're probably both 5'7".
Yeah.
He may be like a centimeter shorter than me, but
so I'm 5'10".
We're both short boys.
I'm 5'10", and I've always considered myself tall.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize I'm not.
Well, you're a giant in the CrossFit world.
And you guys, and actually that was like what's the one that's Diane? Things like that have always been really easy for me because, and I didn't realize, the shorter you are, the better that one is. And you guys just destroyed that workout.
Yeah, there are certain movements and workouts that, well, I partially it's the height thing, but I think in general for me, movement speed is an advantage for me, even if it's not a levers thing. Mm-hmm. Like I'll try to accomplish the work as quickly as possible, because being able to, if I don't know, for example, if there's 20 shoulder overhead in a workout, it depends. Every workout depends on many situations, but oftentimes I'll find that if I can like really try to as quickly as I can get those done and move on versus taking my time and being a little bit more smooth and deliberate, then it can be an advantage. But now that I'm saying that almost sounds silly.
No. I get it.
So many factors.
I get it, because it's like I'm trying to equate it to the average person of like, it's about pacing, and sometimes speeding through something allows you to not have to endure the pain, because you can get through it and kind of like, it's like running up a flight of steps really fast rather than
it almost doesn't hit you until it's over. Right?
Yeah. And I get that. And there's so much I want to study. I love heart rate monitoring and trying to understand all the metabolic pathways and all that stuff. And I'm no scientist.
Man, you would really like Max Ohlsen. You should check out some of his stuff, because they're all about digging in on that.
I think there's so much science that can be done, especially with you guys, like top end athletes, of figuring out, because you guys have pretty much not peaked, but you've proved kind of the capacity of the human condition, like what we are capable of doing. So then applying to you all this heart rate monitoring kind of like heart rate monitoring stuff, you can find out, well, okay, the effect, and you're so strict about your workouts, and that they could just do so many studies with you guys. It would just be so interesting to find out.
Yeah, I agree. I'm with you.
And how much is
I'll donate my body to science.
And how much is mental, and how much is the physical capability? Because, I mean, I'm sure you think about it all the time, what your weaknesses are and what you're going to need to do to be better and, go on. So what are you thinking that you like? I'm sure that's what you do, is you focus on your weaknesses. What do you think it is?
Yeah, it's tough, man. There's a balance between.
Not that there is many or is any.
No, I mean there definitely are. Otherwise, I would have been the champion for the last however many years, right? So I obviously have weaknesses if I haven't won. But the things that, and I think this applies to many people, you are not great at, you don't really enjoy doing, and so you have to walk the line of going all in and trying to make improvements and spend time and time and time working on that stuff versus the sustainability of that, which is probably pretty low. You know, if so for me, sorry, I'm kind of using a lot of words to get to the point, but for me, aerobic stuff is kind of where I've had my lower placements at the games. Like the ruck run last year, I think I took 24th, and I think that was my lowest. Some of like the longer row or bike things, anything monostructural, basically I've not done as well at. And if I were to then look at that and say, all right, I need to improve my running. If I ran hard every day, I would hate training and CrossFit, even though like my world, in my world, that training to me would be CrossFit, but that's not all it is. So again,
so why don't you just leave Miami and head out to the mountains with Hunter?
That's a good question. I've considered it, but because I was kind of just getting to like, I don't think that I would enjoy that enough to make it last. I think it needs to be in there. It's the fine line between working on what you have to, but still enjoying it and making it sustainable. So Max, my coach, programmed for me this week. We started talking about the timeline leading up to this games, the 2020 games, if they happen at the ranch in Aromas. And he said, I'm going to give you 5 days worth of extra aerobic work on top of your CrossFit stuff. And I am doing it this week. I obviously
5 days over what timeline?
Over
from now till then
of a week.
No.
Yeah. So just for this week, 7 days of the week, 5 of those days, we're going to have additional running, rowing, biking on top of all the other CrossFit stuff. So I'm 3 days in, right? It's Thursday, which is my rest day, but I've gone Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday of CrossFit stuff, barbell pull-ups, blah, blah, blah. But on top of that, yesterday did a 3-mile vested run. The day before that, did 5 miles up and over a bridge. And man, I'm rocked. Like I'm way more sore today than I was last week before I had that stuff added in. My energy is lower. And so I'm going to communicate that to Max. I don't think that doing that 5 days a week for the next 2 months, I just feel like that's going to break me too hard. I want to be pushed and I want to get better and I want to dig in and work on the things that I need to, but I also want to be smart about it and make sure that it's going to be sustainable.
Well, I'm sure Max knows a billion times more than I do, but I've been like studying this lately myself because I've just never been able to get better at distance running myself, like never. And one of the things I think is that I train in that wrong zone. I train in that, I don't know if it's like the 60 to 70% or whatever, or 80%, when I didn't realize I did a long run with Tommy Hackenbrook and Hunter last year where we went and I trained.
I think I remember seeing that.
I trained at like my heart rate at like 145 beats for me, which is like I'm in a total aerobic at that point, still aerobic. And I did it these like long 30 miles at a time. And that made me get so much better, more than me running 3 miles fast. Yeah. And it was just, and it's so hard for me to understand, but I started reading about all these triathletes and everything that all do this like slow. And it's like so hard as us as CrossFitters to go that LSD, that long, slow distance, like fuck off. I don't believe you that I can get better doing that.
Right. It's like it's too quote unquote easy, right?
It just doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense that my body, my aerobic capacity would increase with that. And, but they all do it, and and there's arguments against it too. For sure. I mean, the whole methodology of CrossFit would pretty much disagree with it. But I don't know. Triathletes and marathoners have kind of figured it out. So
Yeah, I don't feel scientifically qualified enough to leave my opinion on that matter, but in general, I think that that's the stuff that I do need to get better on, and we are working on it. But I also need to maintain some semblance of the things that I enjoy, which is a barbell and the rings and walking on my hands and all that stuff. Otherwise, I think I'd go crazy and not want to compete at all.
Do you what's the date they've pushed the games to now? As
of right now, September 14th through the 20th are going to be the games.
Does that screw you up with the way you've been like trying to peak or plan your training?
A little bit, but I think that, like I said at the beginning, my adaptability is a strength of mine, and so I try not to ever really wrap my head too tight around a circumstance because I know that things change. And so being able to just roll with the punches and not get super freaked out about, oh, my plan was for the games that happened then and I was going to peak at this time. And like, there's no point in any of that thinking for me. So it is what it is. And instead of having 1 month until the games, now I have 2.5 and we'll adapt and make the best of it.
As a viewer of the games, I've got to be honest, I like it better because to me, I've always said I would like to see you guys do workouts you've never done before with objects you've never used before and elements of fitness that you've never thought of using. I mean, not that are too skillful that you just all of a sudden, I hate that when I watch the games and all of a sudden there's some new event that everybody's like, I've never kayaked before, that's unfair. But I'm saying like pick up weird shaped objects and get them to different size and do things that you've never trained for because to me, that's real fitness. So the fact, like the whole idea of CrossFit is if you got to run up a flight of steps or, a building as a fireman, the next day you might have to do it again. So I like
functionality.
So I like the idea of that you really can't prepare for the games and it's just sprung on you. It's like, hey, sorry guys, hope you're ready. Because if you're the fittest man in the world, you should be the fittest.
You'll be ready at any time. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's what I like.
Yeah, I like that.
So I like that about you guys. What was I going to ask? Oh, but do you wonder about that, about training down in Miami? And like, I don't know how you do that. I've worked out there like twice and wanted to kill myself.
The heat? Is that what you're referring to?
It's brutal.
Yeah, man, it is gnarly. I do think that at times it is a detriment. I think that it holds me back a little bit because I'm not able to get in as many reps. I'm limited by the heat and my heart rate and my body temperature, and so I have to slow down or the barbell slips out of my hands. Whereas if I was in a nice cold AC gym, which I have access to peak, have just not chosen to go back there quite yet for precautionary reasons during the pandemic situation. But I think that there's a flip side to that where their heat exposure is good for certain things. Like your body adapts to it in a way that I can't remember specifically. Chandler and he was showing me a little bit of research on that, but I don't know, to a certain extent, I think it's good. I'm able to push myself, experience these extreme conditions so that maybe when I do get to Madison or you're in the arena and there is the AC, it feels that much easier than what training felt like. And I think that's a benefit.
You've never been tempted to move to Cookeville?
No, not there in particular. I know there are quite a few people that have been lured out there, but I would love to set up shop down here. I think it'd be so cool. And I've actually put out a public almost request before where it's like, yo, I need and want a training partner. If you are willing to move to Miami and train with me, Peak is your place. Like, come on down. And I've gotten a few like, man, are you serious about this? And I'm like, dead. And nothing. Just nobody has.
I'm surprised that no one has, because that's a total opportunity. That's some people are missing an opportunity. If you want to be the best in the world, you have to train with the best in the world. And it's like somebody that would take you up on that would get just not incrementally better. They would get it. They would change their whole entire life. And there are people out there that dream of being CrossFit games. No, there are people that dream of being, their whole life is dedicated to this, and they're never going to make the games. If like with you as a mentor,
It's funny that you say that, because in the same way, there was a period of time last year, I think it was right after the Rogue Invitational, where I had come in 8th place and was doubting my whole purpose in life. And I got obsessed with the idea for about a week of training with Matt, because that phrase came into my mind: if you want to be the best, you have to beat the best. And I was like, it was plain and simple for me. I was like, I have to go train with Matt Frazier if I want to expose myself to the absolute top level of fitness. And I don't know, again, it was just an idea that I ruminated on over and over, and it didn't end up happening. Who knows what would have happened if that had panned out. But I agree that there's some concrete benefit to going out and putting yourself in a position where you're getting beat every day.
Who's your shoe sponsor?
Nike.
Okay. Do you ever talk to Ryan Flaherty? Ryan's the head of performance. Ryan's been on my show a bunch of times. He's the head of performance training at Nike, and he studies.
I don't think I've been connected with him yet. I maybe have met him once or twice, but we haven't had any in depth.
You got to talk to Ryan. I can put you in touch with him. He's a friend, and he's probably the smartest person I've ever spoken to when it comes to training. I mean, the guy is just brilliant, and that's why Nike has him there and working with the top athletes in the world. But if you listen to the episode, I'm not trying to push one of my episodes, but when I talked to him last time, he talked to me about the greatest in the world and why they're the greatest and how they get there. And they study the best. He's like, if you want to be the best, you study the best and you do what they do. And so for you, it just amazes me that you put it out there and people haven't taken you up on it. I'm going, you're an idiot. If you're out there right now and you want to be good at this, the gauntlet has been thrown down. He has said to you, come here, do this, pack up your shit. When I was a young comedian starting out, if Dave Chappelle or, I don't know who was the biggest at the time, Chris Rock or something, said to me, hey, come live with me. I'm going to teach you. I would have sold everything I had. In fact, I did. I packed up all my shit 9 months into stand-up comedy, moved to New York City, and went and hung out in comedy clubs every single night. Like it was my job. I would go to 9 clubs every night on like a route. I had like a paper route. And I would go and I made friends with everybody from Dave Chappelle to Louis C.K., to the top comedians in the world at that point, and got to know them and learn from them and just studied them. And if you're not doing, get out, quit. You're never going to be. I can't believe that offer's been out there and people.
I think maybe because it's such a big commitment and interim to that. Again, this is just an idea, but I would love to be able to host training camps down here, and maybe that is like a win-win situation, because for me, I'm going to get exposure to, I would imagine that it'll be a gamut of skill levels. I wouldn't want it to be exclusive to only games athletes or whatever that may be. So there will probably be some people that are just starting out, which I think is cool. But then hopefully I'd also get some high level people. And I don't know, that hasn't taken effect just yet, but that's something that I had been thinking, well, if nobody's going to move down here and train with me full time, if I could talk to Guido, who owns Peak, once we get back in there, and he'll allow me like once a month to just open the gym up to 10 or 15 people to come down and train with me, that could be an answer.
Did you ever watch any of the Jim? There's a guy named Jim Quick who does podcasts on like making yourself smarter. No. They're really good podcasts, and they're quick, but his name's Quick. Yeah. Jim Quick. And he had like a brain disorder, was in a car crash when he was younger, and he studied the brain to like make himself smarter. And one of the things I learned from him is he said that the way you learn is by teaching. So you will better yourself by teaching other people. Yeah. So even in CrossFit, you're going to become a better CrossFitter by coaching and teaching other people too.
And that ties back into what we talked about at the beginning. It's not just about the leaderboard for me, and I think that something that will be very fulfilling to me in the future would be being able to mentor and help other younger athletes kind of achieve more than I've even achieved myself.
I had you on way too long, I feel like already. And no, I mean, I feel bad about taking all your time, but I've got I've got a million questions, and they don't usually go crazy on questions, but for some reason they did for you.
I like it.
I just want to read this one because I like this guy. I've met him. Matt Newell says, "Love my boy Noah Ohlsen. Can't wait to hear it."
Matt's a good guy.
You know Matt.
Yep.
It was Specialized. Did you get a bike from him?
I did, man. That was the beginning of our relationship. They were generous enough.
Will not give me a
no.
I've tried everything. And I ride a Specialized. Ride a Specialized. Do you have an electric one?
I don't.
Don't tell me you got an electric. Have you seen the electrics?
No. I haven't.
Oh, dude.
They're pretty awesome.
Life changing.
Next level. Road or mountain?
Mountain bike. They're like $7,000 for like
Yikes.
a decent one. And you'll ride 10 times farther than you rode in a day. You'll still get a workout, but it's way more fun. You're going up hills that you could never climb before.
That's awesome.
And he won't give me one.
Son of a gun. Well, I'm about to take the bike that he gave me out this afternoon. So
what do you ride?
I'll enjoy it for the both of us.
What do you?
Ooh, you put me on the spot.
But what is a road or mountain bike?
It's a mountain bike.
Okay.
This one in particular. It's like I can't remember the name of it. It's very light and it's black and red and it's awesome and I like it a lot.
I like how you know your bike. I have a black and red bike. You sound like a 12, an 8-year-old. I have a black and red bike.
Has two wheels.
Justin Glover wants to know how important is your well-groomed hair to your success? We pretty much answered that.
Yeah, apparently not.
He said we're never going to see a bald guy win the games. Yes, but we're going to see a bald guy own the games.
This is true. This is true.
I kept thinking about him. Like he's apparently Eric Rosa, who bought CrossFit, has a 240 Fran time. Did you see that?
Yeah, saw that.
And that's impressive.
I have a phone. Yeah, it is. I have a phone call scheduled with him for tomorrow morning, and I'm really excited about it. Just for the opportunity to get to really know him. You know, I think we've all gotten to see the front page view of who he is, but I want to hopefully get the real him on the phone and feel reassured in my hopefulness in the future of CrossFit.
Well, everything I'm seeing is positive so far, and trying to find the funny angle on him, I can't find much other than that he's bald, and that's the only thing, and that's not even funny. So I got nothing on the guy. He seems a little too perfect. You know, I was hoping he was like Glassman, and he could, Glassman, at least you were like, you can't even do shit. You know, you're a big fat guy. But this guy's like, looks like he's ripped. He's in shape. He's rich. He's smart. He's got it all. So
sounds like your dream guy.
No, sounds like I got nothing to make fun of.
Dang it. Well, I'll fill you in on the call tomorrow if anything pops up.
I want to know, or I don't. But when I read this, I wanted to know. The real Coach Miggs said, "Tell me about the Hawaiian Trail Run and how you had to carry a guy off the course that passed out." That was a crazy life experience for me during the trail run. It was crazy terrain, obviously, like up trails in the mountains. That's the one in Kauai, right? Yep. Yeah, I'm planning on doing it. I want to do it really bad. So cool. So cool. Everybody thinks of the run itself as like the thing, but it's so much more than that. The program that they have out there for the kids is amazing, and getting to experience that was really, really cool. So if you've never heard of it, I would recommend checking it out. And if you're thinking about going, definitely recommend going. But on the run itself, it's through a mountain. You can do a 5K or a 10K, I think. And it was pouring rain that day. And there was like probably the peak of the mountain, or one of the mountains that we were climbing. There was this like crazy natural staircase that got you to the top. And when I finally got to the top, there was a guy off to the side of the trail, and he was kind of like dizzy and stumbling a little bit, and there was like a big drop off the side of the cliff. And so one other person and myself both stopped, and I'll try to make a long story short, but we're like, "Hey man, are you okay?" And shortly after that, he completely passed out, blacked out. We kind of
pulled him away from the edge across the trail to like back into the woods. So he was out of the path because people were continuing to run by. And I am not a health professional at all. I don't have any background in paramedics, but it unfolded really quickly and was really scary. His like face turned white and his lips were purple, and he at one point stopped breathing.
Fuck.
Somebody that had stopped was a paramedic, and they said that his heart had stopped. And like everybody that was there was pretty sure this dude was like about to die, and we needed to get him off the mountain as soon as possible. So they were able to make a call down to the base, which was again 2 or 3 miles away, and get some paramedics to come up. Loaded him onto a backboard, and it was just, man, it was like almost out of a movie or a TV show. There was this group of 8 or 10 paramedics plus myself and 2 other people that had just stopped the trail run to help keep this guy from dying. And we had to, with him on this stretcher with a rope pulley system around some people's waists, walk him down this mountain in the pouring rain, and there's mud, and it was just insane. Thank God he ended up being okay. I don't actually know what was wrong with him. He contacted me afterwards, which was really cool. We had a couple conversations, but he was fine, and it was crazy, and it definitely made me feel like a newfound desire to just be there to help people in any way that I could, because an opportunity presented itself, and I was able to step up and help, and it was very fulfilling.
It is. It's not to pat myself on the back. I was an ocean lifeguard in a ski patrol, and I did them usually to just cheat the system. Like I wanted to sit on the beach all day long, and I wanted a free ski pass. But when you get called into the times where, and still to this day, I have somewhat of the ability to help people in those kind of situations, and I have a little bit of skill, just a little bit. Like I don't know a lot, and I know my bounds. It's an awesome, there's a certain, like, something clicks in me when it happens that I just go straight into dun, dun, dun. Like I have this calling that I have to go and I have to help. And it's, I've got a really funny story about it when I saw a car catch on fire in Las Vegas. Yikes. But things like that. I see it. Well, it was a fun. I know what you mean. I'll tell you because it's. I feel like I haven't been funny today, but it's. So I'm driving down, coming from Vegas home. I usually leave my shows in Vegas. I'll leave after the show and drive home, and I get home at like 2 a.m. in Los Angeles. So I leave right after my show. I'm driving home, and I'm talking to a buddy in Australia, and all of a sudden I go, dude, I got to go. I see a car just on fire off into the desert. And I'm like, what the fuck? And it crashed off the side of the road. So I stop behind this tractor trailer. I run over. There's these 2 hillbillies standing there with a guy completely naked. Naked dude, just naked. And they've got
not on fire.
Not on fire. They've pulled him out of the car.
Okay.
And I go, what's going on? And they're like, oh, dude, he clipped us going like 120, clipped the back of the truck, and then just like spun into here, and the car caught on fire. And I'm like, did you guys pull him out of the car? And they're like, yeah. And I was like, oh, fuck. Because if he has any kind of, neck injury, there's a chance of paralysis of them pulling him out, but it's on fire. Movement. And so I'm like, oh, shit. So he's right next to the car. Car's on fire. And I call the fireman. I had read somewhere once it's pretty hard for a gas tank to blow up, but we're like right near it. I called. They already called. They're like, yeah, we got a fire truck on the way, blah, 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 paramedic. I go, listen, we have to move this guy. He's right next to the car. Should I move him or not? Should I move him? And they're like, it probably won't blow. And I'm like, yeah, I don't want to move him because I'm worried about paralysis. And, these hillbillies aren't going to do it right with me. We don't have a backboard. And I go, do we move them or don't? I need an answer from you guys. And I'm like, and they're like, and they go, move them. And so I start explaining to the guys the best way that we're going to move this guy. That's the proper way to move him. And so we do it, and I try to keep his head straight and his neck straight, and we move him far away from the car in case it's going to blow up because it's like on fire. And And I start talking to the guy, trying to keep him, because he was going into shock, and I'm trying to keep him alert while I can hear the ambulance is coming. And I go, dude, what's your name? Where are you from? Just ask him all the questions. And I couldn't help it. All of a sudden I go, why are you naked?
That's a great question. I was wondering the same thing the whole
and
time.
I'm like, why are you naked? And he looks at me and he goes, I just wanted to see the woman that I love. And I was like, okay, good answer. And I'm like, what the fuck? And so paramedics show up, everyone, ambulance, and they're like, they call in a helicopter. They're like, we got to get a helicopter here. This guy, boom. So I'm talking to the fireman, and I go, look, his pulses dropped from this to this. He's breathing okay. I don't think there's any kind of internal injuries. I could be wrong. Blah. I'm doing all my assessments from when I was a ski patrol, and a couple other people had shown up, and I never get recognized ever. And the paramedic goes, are you a doctor? And I go, I'm the farthest thing from a doctor. And some guy goes, no, man, he's a comedian. He's
That's awesome.
But no, it's not awesome, because I'm not trained or anything. And I just want to get the fuck out of here, because I don't want a lawsuit or anything. So I'm just telling them, and I'm getting in the car and I'm getting the fuck out of there. And so I go, and I'm like about to leave, and I get in my car, and they've got it all under control. And I'm like, I got to get out of here. I get in my car. I start driving down the highway, and I'm like, what if those two truckers just pulled this guy over, raped him, and then lit his car on fire? And
Yikes.
then I just helped them move him.
That's actually, when you said, did you guys pull him out of the car? Next thought was, did you also pull his clothes off?
Yeah.
Because it doesn't make any sense.
As I drove away, I'm like, did I just assist in
You might have.
And to this day, I'm like, what the fuck? So
you disgust me.
Can't always be a hero. All right. I had to tell that story. 3 more questions. That's awesome though, about the Hawaii course. And I want to do that run. I wanted to know, how did the guys get up the mountain to come get him? How long did it take them?
A long time, man. I feel like we were there for an hour before they got to us. Just not because of their lack of response, but just because it's a tricky terrain to manage. Sure.
I'm surprised they didn't drop them in from a helicopter or something.
Yeah.
Somebody wants to know, Jack Wims wants to know if you own a wheelbarrow. I don't know that joke.
It's because in 2015 there was the event at the game where we had to move the sandbags, and my wheelbarrow tipped over. I was one of the only ones, and it was devastating.
Oh, that's a low blow. Sorry I even read that.
Yeah. No, that's okay. I get it. It's funny.
John Matthew Ware, who's a good guy, good fan of the show, says, I'm proud of you for standing up for what's right. How much does your dog shed?
This is in the same question, same context. All right, well, I have to answer him now. Max sheds a decent amount, and we got one of those little robot vacuums that is a huge help. They're awesome.
I saw a video of somebody putting there's a thing called it's like a Boomba or something. And
Roomba,
but the Boomba they put on top of the Roomba, and their baby sat in it, and it just drives their baby around.
That got to be entertaining. That's awesome.
Have you ever been to a Turkish prison?
Thankfully, no.
Why do you lift so heavy? Why do you lift heavy so close to your truck? Chipotle.
I saw that question, actually. That is the only little strip of our driveway that gets sun exposure. And so on some days when I feel like soaking up some rays, I'll take the barbell outside there, and it looks dangerously close, but it's definitely not close enough that anything bad is going to happen to me or the truck.
What truck do you have? What is it?
I am fortunate enough that I have a sponsorship with the local Ford dealership down here. So I have a Ford Raptor, which is really awesome. I like it a lot.
I drive a TRD, Toyota 4Runner, the TRD Pro. And I wasn't sure. I loved the Raptor, and I thought about getting it. But I read it said the Raptor will get you anywhere. The 4Runner will get you back.
I don't know. Well, we don't have crazy enough terrain around here that I'm going to get stuck anywhere.
No, the Raptor. I'm joking. The Raptor's awesome, and
yeah, it gets me back and forth in the city streets easily.
Have you seen the Shelby Cobra Raptor?
No, I don't think so.
I think it's 750 horsepower. I could be wrong. I saw one in Vegas, and then I saw one recently. A guy, very, very wealthy guy, Lamborghini engine inside his Raptor.
Wow.
It's
already got a kick to it. I can imagine that's
they're amazing.
Pretty serious.
They're amazing. It's the trust funder car of Malibu. Every trust funder in Malibu has a Raptor. And they make Hunter McIntyre very angry.
I can definitely see that.
Does he know you have a Raptor?
I don't know if he does.
I'm not sure. Oh God, tell him. That's hilarious. Yeah, he's
I
will. Okay, this is not a funny question, this guy says. PJW Barry. No, are you still journaling? I really appreciated last year how you talked through how you journal during an interview after the games. If you are journaling, has it helped you through all your current craziness with COVID, BLM, and the CrossFit upheavals?
That's a good question, and I will be honest with my answer and say that I have not been as diligent about journaling recently, and I don't know why that is. It doesn't make sense. It would almost seem like now would be an even better time than any to be writing down and processing my thoughts on paper. So maybe that is a bit of a reminder for me. Thank you. But I find journaling to be really, really beneficial. I was doing it in these sections where I would make sure that I journaled something that I'm grateful for, something that was going to be my intention for the day, an affirmation to kind of boost my confidence in being able to reach those intentions, and then a way that I was going to do something to help somebody else on that day.
That's great.
Yeah. So I got to pick back up on that. I've been slacking a bit.
How you can help people. Why didn't you help Hunter with his snatch? Larry Blue ones.
I tried, man. Hunter actually, I don't know if he's still dating that girl Jen that he was dating before, but they were dating at the games, and Hunter has always kind of been like an acquaintance and buddy of mine. Like, we've hung out and chit-chatted a few times. We're not best friends. Like, we're not talking weekly, but Jen made it a point to come up to me, and she said, "Hey, I just want to thank you. You're one of the only athletes here that has actually been really nice to Hunter." Mm-hmm. And I was like, man, that's easy. Obviously, my pleasure. But it sucked that he kind of came in with this tainted perception of being the villain.
Well, but he look, I'm friends with the guy. He lives near me, and we're really close. And he instigates a shitload himself.
Yeah,
and so
all out of good fun, I think.
And then he gets mad when everybody comes after him. And I'm like, you can't stoke the fire and then be upset when they are. But he's a good dude, but his snatch does suck. I should talk. I can't even put 100 pounds above my head right now. What's yours at right now?
Man, I almost hit 290 the other day. I lost it behind me.
Wow.
So one of my life goals is to snatch 300 pounds. So hopefully that happens in the next few years. Otherwise, my chance may be gone forever.
Hypothetical question from John Benner. In 2018, if you sharded 2,000 meters into the marathon row, would you run off and change or keep running or keep rowing?
Yuck. And I think I would probably keep going. It depends on, like, if it was very evident and it was like disgusting and falling on the floor out of my pants, like I would maybe like try to wipe it up in some way, but I don't think I would like leave the competition floor, and I feel like that would just make it worse.
I think if you're 2,000 meters in, you got to keep going.
Yeah.
Well, 2,000.
Well, I mean, 2,000 out of
that's the beginning. Yeah. What am I thinking? 000. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. 2,000. I might quit at 2,000. I might go. Yeah. Oh, what the fuck?
I don't know, man.
What was your placing in the row?
Not great. Kind of like I was saying before, that type of stuff is like middle of the pack for me. I was probably like somewhere in the 20s. But
if you had seen it like, hey, I'm going to finish like 40th in this, I might as well just take a break and go clean my
Maybe.
Larry Blue. They say everyone has a fight plan until they get punched hard in the face. Has that happened to him in the CrossFit Games?
Literally getting punched.
I think
in
he
the
means
face.
figuratively. Like,
Yeah, I know.
yeah.
Yeah, that has happened to me in the CrossFit Games actually a few times, and sometimes you can salvage it, and sometimes you can't. You know, I had actually in 2018. I was in second place going into the final day. And on the final day, there was the rope climb workout. And it was the overhead squats, rope climbs, and ski erg. And my grip just absolutely disappeared. Like I couldn't close my hand past this midway through the workout. And that was like getting punched in the face because there was nothing I could do. I was staring up at the rope. I had actually like tried to climb and failed because my grip was gone. And we've all been there where that's happened. And unfortunately it happened on the big stage. And I did what I could, you know, I shook it off and I waited longer than I wanted to, but as long as I had to, and tried to get up and climb it again. And I think I failed another time. And that's an unfortunate circumstance that I'll kind of always look back on and be like, damn, that moment right there, you know, had that not happened, I probably would have podiumed that year as well. So,
but that's a matter of you pushing your body to its limit. Your body said to you, I'm shutting down on you. Like that's not mind over matter. You can't. That's matter over mind at that point.
That's the only thing that makes it a little bit easier to swallow. It wasn't like, I don't feel like I was soft there. I don't feel like I backed down from a challenge. I just literally physically could not get up the rope.
Wow. It's so funny because I always think that like that can't happen to you guys. I'm like, that only happens to guys like me every day in a workout where I'm like, my arm won't go up.
Yeah, what's wrong with me?
I'm like, and it's good to know that guys at your level, it's shit like that still happens.
Definitely, unfortunately.
Nick Wheeler has a question. What did he do differently than every other regional spectators the year he told Castro, I'm going to compete the CrossFit Games one day? Because unlike 99.99% of the population that even has the goal to compete, he actually did it consistently and very well. He goes, I go to the gym. I give the gym my all every day, and I'm not even sure I'm strong enough to be a volunteer at a sanctional. So I can kind of condense what he says because I get it and I understand it. Yeah. And it's like everybody gets into it and goes, I want to do this. But you were one of those guys that you actually saw Castro and you said, I'm going to be there. You went and did it. And how do you think you're differently than the 99.99%?
I don't know if I am.
You are.
And I don't, I don't think that there's a secret. Like it clicked and I figured out this is exactly what I have to do to make it. And then I made it happen. I think that moment gave me the extreme desire and the goal to work toward. And then it committed me to accomplishing that goal. And I just went into the gym and worked as hard as I could to try to accomplish it. And it took years, but I was able to get there. And again, I know that people usually hate that answer because it's not like an actionable thing. It's not like, oh, I just need to sleep 2 more hours or do this, whatever. It's a combination of things, you know, it's just dedicating yourself to the sport. And maybe he already is. And that's why that answer is frustrating. He's like, I'm already doing everything. I'm already sleeping 10 hours a day. I'm already eating 5,000 calories. I'm already training 8 hours a day, and it's just not happening. So I think that unfortunately there is a bit of a genetic component to it as well. Like you could add up all the factors, but if you're missing a little bit of that, then it still may not happen, even if you're doing everything right. Yeah, I mean, because we could take a guy who's 7'2". He's not going to come into CrossFit and win. It's an impossibility. Yeah, likely not. Yeah.
If you worked at it, could you beat Hunter at Murph?
I don't even really think I have to work at it too much. I feel like I might have him right now.
I
saw his lame world record attempt.
You think?
No, I'm just kidding.
What do you think?
I'm not a good trash talker. That would be fun. Actually, Hunter was kind enough to invite me out to that experience, and I was planning on going, but then the whole pandemic struck, and I didn't feel comfortable
What do you think?
traveling.
What do you think you could do it at?
I've done it at the games twice, and obviously that's a different set of circumstances because we had already been competing. But I think that are they talking, and are we talking straight through? So mile, 100, 200, 300 mile.
Yep.
So the year that we did it that way at the games, I think I took third place.
That's really good.
Yeah, it was decent. And I feel that's like, I don't know if that's quite a wheelhouse workout for me, but I do like pieces that are a little bit longer. Having the gymnastics component in there so heavily is beneficial for me. So I don't know. It's been a long time, but I think that if I were to train for it a bit, I could probably get pretty close to potentially setting a legit world record, full standards and everything.
I think next year it'll get broken very quickly.
Yeah.
I think
now it's cool that he created a little bit of a buzz around that people will now be trying and training for it.
We're going to try to do that with, and I've been talking to Hunter about it too, about no one really keeps a record of all the benchmark workouts. And we're going to try to do that through the show and maybe get someone to create a site that has all of the workouts. And
cool.
So, hey, you want to break Helen? You want to be the best in the world at Helen? Go ahead. Yeah. We need a video. We need a judge. And
I like it.
Good luck, because the best in the world, the Noah Ohlsens and the Matt Frasers and the James Newberrys probably could fucking beat you, but they might not be able to, because it might be, some freak out there that has that specialization for that one. And I'd just like to see it, because in track and field and swimming, we know who has the best 200 time. We know who has the best 400 time. I'd love to know who has the very best Diane time in the world, who has the very best. So I think it's a good thing, because I can compile it from this show. And
I think that's a fun challenge. It gets me excited. Like, oh, I'd like to submit my name for a couple of those.
Yeah. What would be yours? What do you think you could be top in the world?
And this is assuming that they're all super legit. You've got the video, so you know that their standards are being met. I would say Fran is potentially one of them.
Wow.
Diane is maybe another. And like you said, I think there are probably freaks out there that just have these crazy, like range of motion is a huge factor in that. There was a workout in the Rogue Invitational. Sorry to digress, but this guy, Colton Mertens, I don't know how... Yep. Yeah, I don't know how short he is. I want to say he's maybe like 5'5", maybe a little less. Mm-hmm. And he beat everybody on this 21:15.9 deadlift at 275 and overhead squat at 155. I took the second best time behind him, and he still beat me by, I think, was it 45 seconds? Yeah, it was 45 seconds. And then obviously everybody else by more than that. And it was obviously he's very fit, but his range of motion on a deadlift and an overhead squat is so short that he has the advantage there. So he might be able to also crush a Diane and a Fran, because his handstand push-ups and deadlifts and pull-ups would just get done quicker.
What is the best Fran you've ever done?
Man, I went sub 2 once. Wow. I was a 158, which I was pretty happy with. I have a video of that, so maybe I'll just submit that one and call it a day.
Yeah, I mean, because that's the thing. It's like as long as there's a judge there and a video. I mean, because the video, you're going to have every single keyboard warrior going on his 16th rep. I don't think his chin went over the bar. So it's like, well, then take it up with the judge, because the judge said, so that's why when we create it, we're going to have judge and video. So you guys saw that it happened, and the judge is a certified, not certified, like as long as they're a CrossFit style judge, like they,
familiar.
Yeah. Because we're not going to make this, and there'll still be arguments, but I just think it'll be nice to keep.
Yeah, it's a cool concept. I like it.
Would you rather do a simulated full 21-stage Tour de France on the assault bike? Oh, my God.
I don't even know what that would feel like.
Or let Mike Tyson punch you in the face one time?
I feel like both could be potentially deadly, right? Pretty sure Mike Tyson full force to the face could maybe kill me or break a lot of things going on up here. And then that bike thing, I don't know what that consists of, but that sounds pretty gnarly.
Well, it's basically Some of the stages of the Tour de France are 100 miles, so you're doing 21 stages.
Yeah, I think I would pick that because I think I could get through the suffering of that versus just, I don't know, living with the pain of getting punched in the face.
So funny. I would take the punch in the face.
Huh.
Because the punch in the face would be quick and over with, and you'd have to deal with it for like...
Would it, though? Like the after effects, you know? If you broke something and that had to heal for months, like the pain of that is going to last longer than just a shitty bike ride.
A shitty bike ride that's 21 days of shitty bike riding.
Oh, it's 21 days?
Yes. 21 days of bike riding on an assault bike.
Yeah, that changes things a little bit.
I'll take the punch in the face.
It's a tough question.
I hung out with Mike Tyson for a week. It was the funniest week of my life.
I bet.
Yeah, he performed after me at a comedy club. And
man, apparently he's making a comeback. I'm sorry to interrupt you.
I know, and I don't want it to be sad. I hope if it comes back, it's the most awesome thing we ever see, and he proves that like old men can do shit. But
yeah,
I don't know. Last question. Who is your favorite person to compete? Oh, this is from Jeremy Lesniak, former guest of the show. Great guy. Who's favorite person to compete against? What female athlete does he admire? That's
favorite person to compete against? Man, the first person that comes to mind is Chandler Smith. He's one of my best friends, and we haven't had the chance to compete against each other much. I think we maybe have only competed officially head-to-head twice. At regionals back in like 2016 when we first became friends, and then at the games this past year. But I think it's really cool to be able to compete with somebody that you're really close friends with. And then also what played a role in him being the first to my mind was the training camps that we did leading up to the games last year. We had 2 full weekend games prep training camps where we were just basically going head to head and literally like, I win one, he wins one. I win one, he wins one. And they were all within a second or two of each other. So that was just really cool
with that, but that's part one of the question. Let me ask you, and then because I think this, is Chandler like one to watch? Like he is going to be...
I think so, man. I mean, he's never had the opportunity to fully dedicate himself to competing up until now-ish. Even now, he still has some distractions that are potentially holding him back. I think within the next few years, he's going to be free of any other obligation and he'll be able to train full time. And if he does some things the right way, he's a freak athlete genetically. Mm-hmm. And so I think the mind game a little bit and then just some certain skills, like if he can improve on all of those and just get them all dialed in, he could be El Campeón.
Yeah. I've looked at him and watched him and gone, watch out for this guy. He is, but I've been wrong a lot of times. It's weird. This is a weird sport. I never would have thought. I knew Fraser was always going to be a good lifter. I never thought he would have been the best. I knew Froning, but everybody did. I've been wrong more times than I've been right. So I could be wrong. But and what female athlete do you admire the most?
Man, this is like a very plain Jane safe answer to say that I love a lot of those girls. But one person, again, I usually just go with the first one that comes to mind. Tia, outside of being like so unfathomably impressive in her performances, I got to see a side of her after the games this year that I really enjoyed. I think most people that saw the documentary back in the day where Tia was very very bashful and shy and unsure of herself, to witness this year after the games when all the podium athletes had to go back and get drug tested. And then we were walked back from that area pretty far to the warm-up area. And there was like a handful of volunteers that walked back, just Tia and I. And she and I both were just engaging with each other and all of the volunteers, and to have seen her blossom into somebody that is joyful, friendly, just able to relate to everybody and doesn't, even though she is the best and on the top in that regard, she doesn't hold herself up there. You know, she brings her, or not even that she's bringing herself down, but
if I can interrupt, I feel that about all Australians. I love that. They have a really good sense of humility. And,
that's a great word for it.
And I just love that about them. I love the whole country because of that. And I wish in America we had more of that.
Yeah, that would be nice, huh? But she's awesome as an athlete and as I got to see.
Well, you are too. You are too. I appreciate you taking the time to do the show. We've always loved you on the show. And
my pleasure. It's been a while.
Yeah, it has been. It's it's been weird what's happened with the show and everything. But we have a new thing we're doing on the show called Paying It Forward. So it's like Paying It Forward. We're doing a workout. Like you throw out a workout. I'll let you start this. You just give a workout that listeners of the show are going to do. And then I want them to say, like, write in on the Facebook page and the Instagram page and say, okay, I did it. This was my time. And then I'm going to pick one of them to come up with the next workout for the next week.
Cool. I love that concept. There was something that similar to that way back in the day that I remember that was fun to be a part of. Is it one that I've already done so that
you can make it up? It can be crazy. It can be weird. It can be funny.
I'll do one that, again, the first one that comes to mind, I did last weekend. It's Training Think Tank every Thursday, which is today. They'll post a throwdown workout.
Wait, but have in mind too that a lot of people right now don't have access to a lot of shit. Yeah. So give me the one you were going to do. Give me the one you were going to do though.
Okay.
So we'll let everybody do it.
This one was a 12-minute AMRAP, 30 overhead squats at 145 pounds for the men, and I want to say, like, what would that be? Is that 105 for the women, maybe? Into 50 chest to bar pull-ups.
Oh, boy.
30 power snatches at that same weight, and then 50 handstand push-ups. So it's 30 with the barbell, 50 gymnastics, 30 barbell, 50 gymnastics.
And a 12-minute AMRAP. How many?
12-minute AMRAP.
How many rounds did you get?
I was able to make it through one full round plus one, because the second one was at the buzzer and didn't technically count, one power snatch into the second round. And I didn't feel like I had crushed it. But looking at the leaderboard and having text max my score, I was like, oh, I guess I kind of did crush that one. And I want to see some other people get after it to know if there really was that big of a drop off.
All right. So we'll let you do, and you can scale it if you want and tell us your times. But that sounds brutal. It even sounds worse knowing that you only got through one full, like, I'm like, where? I'm thinking I'd get stuck.
Yeah, I mean, there's a good amount of volume. Like 50 chest to bar pull-ups would really, and handstand push-ups would hold people up a lot. The piece that took the longest time-wise for me, I think, was the snatches.
Really?
Yeah, maybe that's wrong, but it felt like it took the longest. Doing singles rather than being able to, like, do big sets of the pull-ups.
See, I think the pull-ups would be the easiest part of it. I could be wrong.
Yeah.
Wait, let's do it one more time. So it starts out with overhead squats.
30 overhead squats, which was the easiest for me.
That's the hardest.
I was able to do that unbroken. Yep. 50 chest to bar pull-ups.
Yep.
Which was tough, but not so bad. The snatches were there. I'll say that was the most energy depleting piece of the workout. And then 50 handstand push-ups, which, similar to the push-ups, was not so bad. Back to the overhead squats and start over.
Sounds brutal. Well, Noah, thank you. Everyone can find you at
the place I think I'm the most active would be on Instagram at NOHLSEN. And that's you'll find everything else probably there. And look, if you want to be mentored or you want a training partner and you are 120% committed to being the best CrossFitter in the world, take the guy up on down. Yeah. Let's go. To give up your whole life and go down and sweat it out in Miami. Love it. Maybe this will bring that. Hey, hope when this whole shit's over, I get to see you soon. And good luck, and I'll be rooting for you. Thank you, brother, man. Appreciate it. Same to you.